Hey, Mike, have you ever had a really awkward conversation with your parents?
Yeah, especially when I was a teenager.
Well, in this episode, hold my beer. Hey, it's 5 Minute Finance. I am your host, Matt Robison, and that was the mellifluous sound of our regular expert, our irregular expert, covering all the topics you didn't even know you needed to know about. Mike Morton. We are here to, as always, make things practical, easy. We're not going to optimize the heck out of your life. We're just going to get you through the things you need to get through and get you on your way. And Mike, I was teasing there, but you want to, I can't believe you're going to do this. You want to plow into the world's most awkward conversation. I can't believe this. You're brave. What do you want to talk about here?
So it's not about talking about sex with your parents, but talking about money. Money with your parents?
You're missing a comma in that last sentence.
Comma with your parents. This one is money with your parents. I mean, what's awkward about that?
No.
Should be fun. No.
That would make you amazing. But what really makes you brave is you want to talk about money and your parents' flaws and the ways it might be impacting you. This is incredible. You really do, all joking aside, want to set up. It's an awkward but a really important conversation that people probably haven't thought about, or if they have, they've shied away from it.
Well, that's exactly right. So it's all around, being prepared to help your parents with the financial side of things. And of course, we don't want to think about it because that means your parents aren't doing so well, or maybe they're not here anymore, and you're picking up a lot of the pieces. And I've gone through this so many times, Matt, where it's, not sure what's there, very disorganized. And so it's much better, although it is kind of awkward. I think both sides very much benefit from having an open conversation around, finances and really helping your parents. We're in the middle of raising kids, having some parents who are aging and wanting to be helpful, both sides. And this one's kind of, talking to the parents.
So in looking ahead at what you're going to cover here, I really get the sense that you've kind of thought about all of the pieces of this and how to break it down into a set of discrete issues to try to deal with that you can maybe tackle one at a time in segments and kind of get through what is awkward, but ultimately unbelievably important. So what are people going to get in the course of this episode?
Yeah. So 5 things to pay attention to when it comes to your parents and their finances and mistakes they might be making with their portfolios. So first is not being organized. Second, ignoring the tax situation. Remember, taxes is the largest bill you will ever pay. So getting organized around taxes. Third is not being prepared for declining. Fourth, what to do with the family home. And finally, the biggest one, Matt, is maybe not taking enough risk in their investment portfolio.
And people should, I hope, hold on, because we've got some very timely, very useful sets of our usual segments here. We've got our listener question asking, are we in an AI bubble? I mean, are we in a 3D simulation? That's another deep question. Does the universe exist? We'll just tackle this one today about the AI bubble. We've also got our Worth Knowing segment, sponsored by my Substack, not really, worthknowing.substack.com, where we're going to give you a very useful fact about college. And finally, you'll want to hang on for our One Thing segment, where I'm going to indulge in my annual holiday rant. So, just to preamble this, again, this is my putting a stamp on what you're attempting to do here, but it seems to me like you've broken down a set of related issues when it comes to your parents, their planning, the things you have to tackle. They're so unpleasant. They're so, no one wants to think about this, but I mean, just lay out from your experience with your clients, if you don't do these tasks, not to scare people, but the consequences can be pretty significant. And what you're basically saying is encourage just a little bit of pain on these 5 things, in a short burst to avoid a lot of difficulty later.
That's exactly right. You're just kicking the can down the road if you're not, taking care of these things. And some of it's, emotional, definitely a lot of it's time oriented. You will be spending a lot more time trying to pick up pieces if you don't do it ahead of time. And then a ton of it's financially related. I mean, you could be leaving tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. And so by having the conversation now, you're really going to save a whole bunch of time and probably a whole bunch of money.
Well, this first one feels to me like sort of the easiest to tackle in a way. And maybe it's a great entry point into the larger rest of the conversation you need to have. It's just about making sure that you're organized.
Yeah. So this is getting organized, making sure with your parents that their finances are organized. I've worked with a lot of clients where a parent has passed away and they're stepping into the home and into the desk and uncovering all the pieces of paper and where are the accounts and where are the bills and what accounts do we have and how much is in them. I mean, it's a lot. Just imagine trying to someone walking into your life and saying like, hey, do I know where the checking account is, the savings account, the brokerage, the 401ks, the IRAs, like all the stuff. I mean, so literally just get organized, helping your parents to get organized with, it can be a simple one pager. Hey, like, what are all the accounts that you guys own? Okay, it's 8 different accounts. They're at these banks and these brokerages. Great. Take the next step, like, put down what the account numbers are. If you have a very safe place for storing everything. What are the accounts? What's the current balance? Just get a snapshot. What are the account numbers? Okay. And then take it a step further. If you can get passwords using a password protection kind of thing, password manager, and get maybe shared access with your parents. So now you've got like online access to help them and all of that. So just getting organized. What are your finances? What are we looking at? Where is stuff? So if you ever have to step in, you already have a great sense of where things are.
I've been thinking for a long time about what if I called my mom and I said, we're going to spend like half an hour. We're going to sit down. I know that's more than 5 minutes, but we're going to do this. We're going to create some shared access. And that way, if you get to a point where you need this, you don't have to go through a far more difficult process of unearthing and kind of cobbling it all together. And it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. So here's the 5-minute task for the listeners. You can craft an email to your parents or however you communicate with them and say, hey, I'm interested in just making sure that you're very organized in case something were to happen to you or in case I can help out. Do you have, or can you create, a one pager, or together, can we create a one pager that has this list? Just something to get started on, just literally 8 lines. Of the bank accounts, the brokerage accounts, just so I have an understanding of where things are in case I need to be helpful. So just a 5-minute task, you could craft that email or text today and set up a time to be able to do that.
It really is amazing to me how the most profound, valuable gifts in life are ones that you frequently don't even recognize you're receiving or giving to someone at the time. But this would definitely be one of them. Let's get to number 2. You talked about how taxes are the biggest cost you'll ever pay. What do you mean in this context then about dealing with taxes?
So there's a couple of things when it comes to taxes. There's gifting and taxes, and there's also estate taxes. So say a lot of the clients I work with, their parents have done a great job saving, investing, they're enjoying retirement, things are generally going well, and they have oversaved. They, have quite a lot that they probably won't spend it all, in their lifetime, which is fantastic. There are 2 things to be considering there. One, your parent, they can do gifting to you now of some cash that helps you in a stage where maybe cash is a little tight. We've had those podcast episodes, between raising kids and doing the career and everything else. And so rather than waiting until they're gone, it's maybe a better time to be helping you out. Just be aware. The other side is gifting when they die. Right. And what happens then is that you get this step up basis. Okay. So whatever has a built-in gain. So say they bought some stock 20 years ago, it's sitting on a whole bunch of gains. If they gift it to you now, then you pay the capital gains. But when they die, it's reset. So you don't pay any capital gains. So that's where gifting today can be really helpful, but just be aware of those 2 rules.
I see. And what about the overall estate tax situation? Is there stuff you can do now?
Yeah, this is a really, really big one, Matt. So the federal gift limit is 15 million per person, and that's a lot. So not a lot of people are, above that. So that means if you die with less than 15 million, the federal government lets you pass on all 15 million with no tax. Okay. Now the problem is that different states have an estate tax. So we're in the state of Massachusetts. And if you pass away with more than 2 million that you own, this is including your house. So if your parents are in a nice house that they've paid off the mortgage and they have some savings accounts, some 401ks and stuff, if it's over $2 million, they're getting whacked with tens of thousands of dollars of taxes, up to 40%, okay, above that 2 million. That's a lot. And so that's where I get back to number one, the gifting, right? Hey, I'm above 2 million. What can I do to try to reduce that now? That's where the gifting comes in. So if you're in a state that has estate taxes, this is a really big deal.
Okay. Here's this is the one that I've been kind of eyeing on the whole agenda here nervously, because this is so sensitive. It's like you call your dad and you're like, hey, Dad, you're not that sharp anymore. Let's deal. I mean, how do you do this? Okay, you set it up. You set it up what you want to talk about here, but this is giving me major angst.
Yeah. What? Preparing for their inevitable mental decline? What's the problem?
What's delicate about that? You can really gaslight them and say, like, look, I know we already talked about this last week, but
there you go. Exactly. We've talked about this 3 times now. You don't, okay. Now you should hand over all that money to me.
Jeez, this is just, it keeps getting worse and worse. It's so bad, but you got to do it. You got to deal with this because is like, it's delicate, but this is an issue.
So this is one, it is an issue, and it's best to have these conversations when everybody's, has full faculties and good relationships, still good relationships right before it goes downhill. But you want to be prepared. This is really important. So be on the, obviously you're on the lookout with your parents, you're talking, hopefully you're in communication and you're kind of on the lookout for how they need help or where they need help. And the finances is a big part of this. So you just want to, if you can, have a conversation like, what's your plan? Who's part of the team? Who's helping you? What's your plan for, if you start forgetting some stuff or whatever? You just want to have a plan in place. Maybe it's you, maybe it's a, financial advisor keeping an eye out. You want to make sure someone's keeping an eye out if there are problems, mental decline, and especially when it comes to finances. And a subsegment of this, Matt, is more and more to educate around fraud and scams. It's getting really bad out there. Be on the lookout. If you have, just mention, things that come across your screen. Oh, I've been getting text messages, been ignoring them. It says, oh, I'm from the IRS, blah, blah, blah. Like you can have nice little friendly conversations to remind your parents, like there's a lot of nefarious stuff out there, and keep their, things very safe and secure.
It is quite incredible to me how, not just like people in my parents' generation, people with PhDs, people who have been college professors, smart, sophisticated people, this is occurring to them more and more. And it is so hard to figure out what's a scam, what's BS, what's roping you in. So that aspect of it alone, I think is, but I mean, what you're really kind of driving at with this is, let's plan for a scenario. I mean, this is hard, but like if people have done things like make a living will, make a will at all, you're talking about preparing for the eventuality that something unpleasant is going to happen. What are you going to do? And, having that conversation before it becomes an issue, it strikes me as like, let's just all be clear and on the same page about this.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. You just want to make sure you have a plan.
All right. Number 4. Family home.
Yeah, it's a big one. We haven't spent much time on it, but are you, your parents we said, they probably own their home outright. Maybe they even have 2 homes. Maybe there's a vacation home in the family as well. What's the plan for that? Because a lot of times it's, I'm leaving it to the 3 kids. Like you're going to leave 1 home to 3 kids. How's that going to work out? Like hopefully all you with your siblings have great relationships and can figure it out. But I think it's even better to have that discussion ahead of time. Hey, like the parent, let's have a conversation with the parent and my two other siblings about what's going to happen to the family home. Are we going to sell it and just split that? Does somebody want to like move in there? I just think it's really smarter with vacation homes and family homes rather than leave it to squabble. Like, wait, who wants to do what with this home? Maybe we want to rent it, or I want to buy it, or whatever. Like, have that discussion up front.
I can't tell you the number of people I know who have run into this and it's become a problem because like a bunch of siblings want to do this and another sibling wants to do that. Let's get to number 5. Number 5 is such a head scratcher to me. It bent my brain. And it took me a little bit of thinking to kind of come around to what you're saying here. So lay it on me.
All right. This one is that your parents' investment portfolio is probably not risky enough. And I run across this a lot because it's very standard advice. Hey, I'm in my 70s, I'm in my 80s. We need to be very conservative because I'm now spending my money. Like I get into retirement, I need to have the money ready. I'm getting older, there's medical costs. I'm no longer making money, right? Everything costs more. So I need to be very conservative with my investment portfolio because I'm now spending the money. Now, There's nothing wrong with that, except are you going to spend all that money? Because if you're not going to spend it, then you need to be taking on more risk. So let me paint a picture. It's like I run across this all the time. Like, oh, I've got, $3 million in my 70s. I'll probably, and I'm living off that and it's great. I've got enough. And I'll probably only spend like $1 million of it over the next 10 years, got some social security, et cetera. So that means $2 million is you're not going to spend it. Those are dollars that will be spent in 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 years from now. They're going to be left to kids and grandkids. Well, if it's dollars that are going to be spent in the far future, they can be invested more aggressively. And that's 2/3 of your portfolio. So you should be at least, 70 or 80% stocks, which sounds crazy, right? I mean, I'm 70 or 80 years old. Why would I be so heavily invested in stocks? But that's the way the math works. And you have to think about when are the dollars going to be spent? Who are they for? And then invest them appropriately.
Congratulations, because this is literally one I've never heard on any other financial planning show, any other article. And once you lay it out that way, it makes total sense. And it also strikes me as super duper sensitive because you're really talking about what's your longevity likely to be here, Dad? Come on. Tick.
Right around retirement is when you want to be the most conservative with your portfolio. And that includes 3 or 4 years before retirement up to 5 years after retirement. So let's just say in your 60s, you want to have the most conservative portfolio. Once you get to, we just said, once you get to your 70s or 80s, you can actually become more aggressive.
I see. Because you might have quite a long runway. Oh boy, there's just no way of making this sound good. It's like, but once you get into your 70s and 80s, then you're in a better position to say like, well, now I have a better line of sight to there's a portion of this that I'm unlikely to be the one who's spending. You pride yourself on very practical, bite-sized tasks. So what's the place that people can get started? Is it just like, what's the 5-minute version of getting going on this and breaking?
Well, it's easy. That's easy, Matt. We're right before Thanksgiving. You'll hear this probably right after, but it's like, pass the cranberry sauce and how are your investment portfolios? You want to pass some money this way too?
Oh, geez. Hey, why don't you bring up politics and religion at the table while you're at it?
No,
and
only
tell
an
your
idiot would do
cousin
that
he's got to kick his meth habit. It sounds like what you're really saying is you could just start by laying out the menu of like, here are the topics that we should tackle over the next month or so.
Well, I would say this, Matt. Here's the 5-minute test. We just went over five things to think about, right? One of those probably struck you. Maybe it was the family home. Oh yeah, I got a couple of siblings. Maybe it was, the portfolio. Geez, my parents are great. They've got a home and a vacation home, but they're not working with a financial advisor. Like, I'm curious, So maybe just have some curiosity with your parents and just pick one of those and have an introductory sentence about like, hey, I was just curious, checking in with you. I want to make sure I can be helpful. How are we thinking about this topic? And they can and your parents will respond positively like, oh yeah, I'm sure they will. In fact, you'd be surprised how positive they will be because they're thinking about these things all the time. Like that's their reality. So you'll be surprised at how receptive your parents, if you just have a one sentence, so come up with a one sentence curiosity around one of these topics and throw it out there, and they can shut it down and then you just move on. But try that and see what happens.
Or just try to shift the conversation to something much more awkward to cover for the awkwardness you created. Like, oh, you don't want to talk about cognitive decline? Hey, I'm gay. All right. Anything else on this topic?
That's it, man. It's great.
All right. Let's go on to our listener question. So listener question for the week is kind of fascinating, very meta, very out there. Meta is actually very on the nose for this. The question is pretty straightforward. Are we in an AI bubble? Mike, are we in an AI bubble?
Maybe. How's that?
What would that look like? How do I get out of this bubble?
How do I get out of this bubble? I'm trapped in a bubble. It's funny. Obviously, I'm getting this question a lot. Like, are we in an AI bubble? What do you think? What people are really asking is, if we are in an AI bubble, what should I do with my investment, with my money? What should I do with my money? I.e., what should I do with my investments? The answer is probably nothing. If we're in a bubble or not in a bubble. So that's right. That's what you're asking. It's like, if we're in an AI bubble, if the stock market is kind of expensive and frothy, if we think there's going to be a major decline, in the very near future, what should I do with my portfolio? Right. And the answer is probably nothing. So you want to always be ready for a 30% drop in the stock market. You're going in is like every year. Hey, I think next year it might drop by 30%. Am I ready? And if it doesn't drop by 30%, am I ready for that? Okay, so let me give you an example. I work with a lot of parents who are still working, still in their career. They're going to be working for another 10 years or so. So we're going to be pretty aggressive. We're going to be 75 to 80% in stocks. So that means 80% of your portfolio is probably going to chug along. Most years the stock market goes up, so that's great. And if it doesn't, if it drops by 20 or 30%, 80% is going to go down. But again, that money is going to be spent in the far future. It will come back. So you always want to be ready for whatever the stock market's going to do next.
That was a great answer that dodged my question. Are we in an AI bubble, man?
I give it 50-50.
Oh, geez. It's interesting. We can move on. All right. This is the part of the show newly introduced by Mike a couple of shows ago, because he's very kind to me and he wants to do a little bit of cross promotion to my Substack, worthknowing.substack.com, where I cover all kinds of things that are worth knowing. No, you just want to talk about the general sense of things that are worth knowing. There's no connection to me whatsoever.
No connection to a sometimes podcast host friend.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes friend.
Whenever you call me, you're like, hey, man,
it?
It's time to do another episode. I'm like the Dunkin' Donuts guy. Oh, it's time to make the podcast. All right. If you got that cultural reference, it's time for your kids to have a conversation with you about whether you're in cognitive decline. All right. What is the thing that you think is worth knowing this week? It was very worth knowing to me.
Free college. Who doesn't want to know about free college?
Yes.
So, we live in the state of Massachusetts, and I'm sure this is happening in other states as well. But here, we have a lot of colleges in our state, and community college is becoming free. Free community college. And also jumping on the pile, a bunch of great colleges from Harvard and Tufts and others. If you have below a certain income threshold, totally free. They've just already said, like, hey, if you make less than $150,000 a year, it will be free tuition to come to our school. So it's really worth knowing that, because I had the college conversation all the time with parents, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe the sticker price for these colleges. It's crazy. And so it's worth knowing there's a lot of options out there and a lot of great options to be considering, depending on what's going to work for you and your child.
And if you don't live in Massachusetts,
then you don't live in Massachusetts.
Well, then you're screwed, is my point, really.
That's right.
There might be something similar in a state near you.
Maybe? No. Yeah. That's what we said. Yeah, there's definitely going to be other stuff in your state as well. So, take a look at it. Colleges are getting, everybody knows that college is super expensive. And look, they're in the business of making money, right? I mean, there are for-profit colleges, but there's also the state schools, and they're trying to do what they can. So just take a look at the variety of options that are going to be available to your child. And there's, Matt, there are way more colleges than you could ever know. It's unbelievable when you start looking how many colleges are out there.
All right, Mike.
All right.
You very
one thing?
kindly agreed to hand over the microphone to me for just a minute here. And I'm not sure you're going to feel great about this, but I have to revisit the article that I'm not sure it's the best thing that I ever wrote, but a year ago, I wrote a piece in Newsweek, as I want to do, arguing that we as American Jews screwed up Hanukkah. Let's fix it. And my core argument was Hanukkah sucks. If you're Jewish, you know this. And you probably know somewhere from the misty memories of Hebrew school that it's not even a major holiday. It's sort of an afterthought in terms of the whole faith. It's essentially American Hanukkah is a creation of the mid 1800s in an attempt to compete commercially, not just with Christmas, but with a very specific part of Christmas, the WMD of Christmas, the crack cocaine of Christmas, Santa Claus. This was American Jews' attempt to keep up in the race to nowhere, the race to the bottom of Santa Claus, which in itself was a creation of Macy's. So my argument is, hey, we know we have an inferior product in an oversaturated marketplace. We will never, ever be able to compete with American commercial Santified Christmas. If you're a Jewish person, my advice to you is just give Christmas presents. It doesn't mean you have to convert. Just admit it. American commercial Christmas is a different thing. It's separate from the faith of Christianity. It's a cultural thing. Be American. Buy into it. Give Christmas presents. It's fine.
So your whole pitch here is just give up and also just lean into the American consumerism, which is just buy.
Yes. I mean, oh, really? You want to fight that battle on our own? It's like, no, we're not going to be, the geniuses who came up with Kwanzaa as a holiday, who kind of like re-embraced that in the 60s, they intentionally designed it. Let's give thoughtful, meaningful, small, culturally connected gifts to children. Not like, but I mean, that would be a great path to go for Hanukkah. But the other way we could go with it is just say Santa wins. Santa always wins. There's no fighting Santa. So why try? Like jujitsu it. Go with it.
All right. I like it.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for indulging me. I feel great. You've kindled a light, or should I say 8 tiny lights inside me. And
I thought we snuffed them out.
No, man. On that note, on that culturally, it's totally sensitive note. For Mike, I'm Matt. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us on 5 Minute Finance. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to and rate the podcast. It makes a huge difference for my show. You want more? Find Morton FA on Substack. If you have a comment or question, please email pod@mortonfa.com. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. This recording is for informational purposes only and should not be considered for investment advice. Opinions expressed are as of the date of recording. Such opinions are subject to change. I cannot guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the data presented here.